Welcome to Episode 1 of Strategic Succession, Bridging Governance and Legacy. In this series, we'll challenge conventional thinking about wealth transfer and explore why the most technically perfect estate plans still fail. This series is built around a core premise from Matthew Erskine's work. When wealth includes family businesses, complex real estate, or meaningful collections, succession is not simply a legal exercise, it is a strategic one. And that brings us to the foundational idea for this debut episode. Succession is often treated as a transaction. A document is drafted, a trust is signed, and a transfer occurs. From a legal standpoint, the transaction is complete, but from a strategic standpoint, nothing meaningful has yet begun. For families who own operating businesses, complex real estate portfolios, or significant collections, succession cannot be reduced to paperwork. It must function as a system designed, coordinated, and sustained across time. Here is the distinction that matters. A transaction transfers title. A system transfers responsibility, authority, and continuity. And that difference determines whether wealth survives the transition. Estate planning documents are necessary. They establish structure, define ownership, and allocate authority. But documents alone do not prepare successors, align advisors, resolve family conflict, create governance discipline, or integrate illiquid assets into long-term continuity. As discussed in Matthew Erskine's writing on collections and family enterprises, families frequently declare their intention to hold assets forever. Yet permanence without design creates fragility. A will or trust can move assets from one generation to the next, but it cannot ensure those assets are managed effectively once they arrive. Without strategic design, the transition often results in fragmentation, forced sales, internal disputes, or decision paralysis. This is not a drafting failure. It is a systems failure. A true succession system includes 5 interlocking components. First is strategic alignment. Before any documents are drafted, the family must clarify their core objectives: preservation, liquidity, stewardship, philanthropy, control, or growth. Without this clarity, even the best documents will miss the mark. Second is governance design. Who makes decisions? Under what authority? With what accountability? Governance is not bureaucracy. It is architecture for continuity. Third is advisor coordination. Legal, tax, investment, insurance, and business advisors must operate within a unified framework. Disconnected advice creates structural gaps. Fourth is role preparation. Successors must be prepared before authority is transferred. Titles without readiness create instability. Fifth is ongoing review. A system must adapt. Market conditions change, family dynamics evolve, regulatory environments shift. Succession is not static, it is iterative, adapting as circumstances change. In practice, families often begin with implementation. They ask for a trust, request a buy-sell agreement, and seek tax efficiency. These tools are important, but tools applied without strategy can produce unintended consequences. A trust designed to minimize estate tax may inadvertently fragment control of a family enterprise. A gifting strategy may undermine governance cohesion. A collection may be divided equally, even though it functions as a unified asset. The legal instrument works, but the system breaks. Strategic planning requires stepping back before drafting begins. What is the family trying to preserve? What risks threaten that objective? How should authority evolve across generations? These questions cannot be answered through templates. They require deliberate design. A common misconception in estate planning is the belief that signing documents completes succession. In reality, execution marks the beginning. Consider a family business. Ownership transfers to the next generation. But if management authority, board structure, voting rights, and decision protocols are unclear, the business becomes vulnerable. A real estate portfolio placed in trust still requires coordinated management policy. A collection transferred to heirs still demands valuation discipline, liquidity planning, and governance oversight. The transaction has occurred, but the system has not yet been proven. Without governance, succession becomes reactive. With governance, it becomes structured. Many founders struggle with transition because they equate succession with loss of control. A system-based approach reframes the issue. Succession does not require immediate relinquishment of authority. It requires clarity about how authority evolves. Control can be staged, stewardship can be mentored, decision-making power can be gradually shared. This progression allows the founder to remain involved while building institutional resilience. When succession is treated as a single event, authority shifts abruptly. When succession is treated as a system, authority transitions intentionally. Ownership answers the question, who holds title? Stewardship answers the question, who carries responsibility? Multi-generational continuity depends on cultivating stewardship before ownership changes. This requires education, exposure to governance processes, participation in advisory discussions, and defined accountability. Heirs who inherit assets without stewardship preparation often experience overwhelm. Heirs who are integrated into a system before transition understand expectations. They understand risk, responsibility, and accountability because the system has prepared them. In advisory practice, one of the most common breakdowns occurs between disciplines. The tax advisor optimizes tax outcomes. The estate planner drafts documents. The investment advisor manages portfolio allocation. The business consultant addresses operations. Each functions competently within their domain, but without integration, strategic misalignment develops. A succession system aligns all advisors under one continuity framework. Every recommendation should be tested against a central question. Does this strengthen or weaken long-term governance? If that question is not asked, fragmentation accelerates. Families that succeed across generations do not rely on documents alone. They institutionalize communication. They define authority clearly. They revisit strategy periodically. They treat succession as a living framework. This approach does not eliminate complexity. It organizes it. Succession is not a moment. It is an architecture, and architecture must be designed before construction begins. Succession is a system, not a transaction. A transaction transfers assets. A system transfers continuity. Families who focus only on documents often experience disruption despite technically sound legal planning. Families who design strategic systems before implementation create resilience. In the next episode, we examine why well-drafted estate plans still fail and how structural gaps between planning and execution undermine even the most technically precise documents.